I mean, I know I would like to sell more than 12 copies of my book. Hello, welcome to day 26 of the Writer Diaries. My name is Tiana, or Tiano, which is with a J, and we're almost at the end of this little 30-day series where I've been posting almost every single day about my thoughts, feelings, and overall impressions as I've been working on my mafia romance project. I'm like 85,000 words into draft 2 of the manuscript. I am over halfway through the actual printed manuscript. This one right here. I have been plugging away slowly but surely, probably averaging about 1,000 words a day. And since I'm getting one step closer to this being an actual published book, I have been watching a little bit of stuff on YouTube about publishing in general. As you know, I'm sure most of us are aspiring writers. Not all of us are authors yet, whether that's traditional or self-published, but ideally we'd all like to get there. We'd all like our books to be massively popular, successful, selling millions of copies, New York Times bestseller list, and probably a movie deal or 3. Is that just me? No? Nobody else? I'm not really at the point yet where I'm looking for an agent or seriously looking more into publishing. I feel like I'm still quite a few steps away from that, but it is something that I am slowly starting to consider more of. I'm one of those people who I would say is pretty much okay with whether I traditionally or self-publish. I am totally open to both avenues, though as I've been learning more about a few things about the traditional publishing industry and just seeing more things online of how people have had success with that, or maybe less success than they thought they would, I'm almost starting to lean more towards self-publishing, but I'll get into that. Let's talk about the trad side first. Traditional publishing, obviously you get an agent, you have a company, that's a publishing house, your agent presents your book, the house decides they want to buy it or not, and you get paid some advance for your book or series or whatever. I might not be totally clear on all the details, nor do I need to be right now, but so this is kind of going to be a very vague set of thoughts that I have. So if I mess up a few details, don't bite my head off for it. This is just, again, me sharing my unfiltered and raw thoughts about the whole writing process. Some people get 6-figure deals for their book or a set of books, and it sounds like, wow, you get paid $150,000 for your book or books, and that's a pretty solid amount of money, until you learn that actually that money gets paid in installments. It's not one big lump sum payment. Of course, you then have to pay your agent for representing you and your book to the publishing house. You have to pay taxes on that money to the government, because God forbid the government doesn't take its cut. It turns out that as you look at that 6-figure deal, however much it is, it just slowly shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, because you have a huge portion taken out for fees. You don't get paid all at once. You don't get to make any more money off of that until, like royalties, until that advance is paid off, and that could never happen, because apparently the average number of books that a New York Times bestseller list is selling is 300 copies, 250. I've heard anywhere from 12 copies to a few hundred, which, however many it is, out of those figures from 12 to, let's say, 300, those are all pretty depressing numbers. I don't want to make anybody feel badly. The fact that you're able to sell any books at all is an accomplishment in and of itself, because most people will never do that. But still, we want to aim for higher numbers, I'm assuming most of us. I know I would like to sell more than 12 copies of my book. I don't know what number I would be satisfied with, but ideally a little bit, at least 4 figures. Let's aim for at least 1,000, right? Another con for me with with traditional publishing that people talk about is they're also then still having to do a lot of the marketing on their own. I think some people think that once they get a traditional publisher, it means that they hand over the reins fully and they don't have to do anything anymore. It's like they've got their team of editors, they've got their team of book cover designers, they've got their team of formatters and whatever else is required in putting a book together. And like they've got a whole 5-star marketing team taking care of your campaign for you, essentially for your book, which isn't actually the case. These big traditional publishing houses are still expecting you as the author to have a social media following. Again, I've heard numbers anywhere from a few thousand to having like at least 50,000 followers or subscribers or whatever. They're expecting you to market this pretty much on your own. If you're not comfortable handing over the reins in a way, you don't, when you have this publishing house and their team working with you on your book, you don't necessarily get to have that much say anymore in the edits or the book cover design or perhaps the length of the book. Like, you kind of really do have to compromise on what your book ends up being, which hopefully a lot of the time it does end up being a better version and like a more higher quality version than what you had originally come up with on your own. But if you're like somebody who's like me, you'd like having perhaps the final say in how things go when it's something that you yourself created, maybe traditional publishing is not as appealing. I know that one author that I spoke to a few years ago, she was saying how even the way the idea she had for marketing her book, her publishing house was essentially like, yeah, you can do it, but we think it's a waste of time and we don't even recommend that you go and do that. So she had this idea to ride her motorcycle, because she was a motorcycle enthusiast, and go from city to city in the United States and I guess do little book signings and maybe join book fairs or book events or whatever and market her book there. And her publisher was like, yeah, no, we don't think that's a good idea. She ended up doing it anyway, but to me that's almost contradictory, because the marketing or the publishing house is telling her you do have to go and market your book yourself. She presents them with the marketing idea that, you know, it would be interesting for her and something that she would like to do, and then they're like, no, we think that's dumb, that's a waste of time. So it's like, what do you guys want from your writers? And I understand, and I think maybe if more people understood this, perhaps the I don't know, glaring reality of traditional publishing would be easier to swallow, because publishing houses are not interested in publishing stories for the sake of publishing stories. They're a business like any other, interested in making money. Because the numbers don't lie, and the numbers are showing that most authors are selling anywhere from, 12 to 300 books in their life cycle, they can't take the risk of giving, a debut author or some author who's only written 3 books that almost nobody knows about a $1 million advance, because there's no guarantee that they're ever going to make that money back. Which is why, unfortunately, traditional publishing houses then are publishing books by celebrities and athletes and, famous TikTokers. So, and this is why publishing houses too are constantly on the lookout for books that are popular, like who's writing to the trends, the tropes, whatever's most popular at the moment, because they know that they can most easily monetize on that. It's the same in any area. It's, on YouTube, people are making videos that are trending. They all follow the same thing, trying to get more views. You got it in the world of fashion, where it'll just seem like everyone's using the same colors or the same materials or even the same designs, because that's the hottest thing that particular season. So what the publishing houses are doing is nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing unusual. They're following typical business standards, I would say. But then that means, unfortunately, for most of us, because these companies also don't have unlimited funds, they don't want to take the risk on everybody who knocks on their door, or they can't. Or you have to prove that you're really going to make them a lot of money. But all of that truly is soul and gut-wrenching, which is a hard pill to swallow if you're not ready for it, and to come to the, and be confronted with the fact that maybe, perhaps, your writing, A, isn't as good as you think it is, because that's always a possibility, or B, unfortunately, because most people just want to follow trends and have a difficult time thinking for themselves, don't hate me for that, but let's be honest, you then need to somehow convince other people that your idea or original idea or innovation or whatever is worth paying attention to. And that truly is, again, the same in every single industry. It's not, the way publishing works is nothing out of the ordinary. I was listening to this one interview on this really, really tiny YouTube channel. I think they have like 35 subscribers. I think it's called LEJ is the person. But they interviewed this author who was saying how she was part of a some sort of writers group that she paid to be a part of, and at the end of the writers group, is like a 5-week program, she got the chance to talk for 15 minutes with an agent, and it was actually an agent that she had wanted to speak to. It was like the number one agent on her list, and she had said that basically the agent just had nothing nice to say about her book, and even the guy that was interviewing her had said the same thing in his experience. It was like he talked to an agent, and it wasn't even necessarily critique, let's say. It was like just straight up criticism, and that neither one of them got the impression that the agent was truly looking for, let's say, a way to sell the story that they have and perhaps again work to make it better. It's more just like, this book isn't popular right now, or this genre isn't popular right now, why don't you wait a few years? I know that my good friend Anna, she has a video about this on her channel talking about Project BB and the agent that she reached out to who read her book, but essentially, kind of missed the mark on what the book is, ended up giving a whole bunch of ideas to essentially transform the book into something that Anna didn't even write. And it almost sounds like that agent was just, again, looking for a marketable story, looking for a story that could help them get their big break, because obviously if an author is really successful, the agent also makes a lot of money off of that. And so agents at the end of the day are also looking out for their best interest. This is their job. They want to make money. They're not there to necessarily, help every single writer that comes along bring their story to life and help make all of their author dreams come true. No, they're looking for a big payout, I'd say most of them. It's just that the avenue for their big payout is just that they like reading books. This is why when I take into consideration some of these things, self-publishing sounds more and more appealing. I get full control over everything, and I can create my own team. In a traditional publishing setting, you don't get to pick your team per se, as far as I know. They have their editors, cover designers, and everybody, and you have to work with them. And if you want to keep your book deal, you have to be able to play nice, which totally understandable. Team setting, you have to be a team player. Even if you're going to solo publish, I think, you still have to be able to work with other people. You get the team that is given to you. You don't get to say, oh, I like this editor the most out of everybody, and oh, this guy, I like his cover designs the best. And again, you don't even get to pick your publishing house at the end of the day. Your ideas get pitched and it's whoever picks you up, right? Whereas if you're self-publishing, you can pick the editors you want to work with the cover designers, the artists. You can choose how you want to publish. Do you want to do Ingram Spark or on Amazon via Kindle or whatever else? And the timelines tend to be a lot faster. If you can, write a book, publish and edit and get everything done in a month, great. You can put it out into the world. You're not stuck waiting 2 to 3 years. You already have to do the marketing for your book, which you will have to do if you traditionally publish. I'm just thinking more and more about what direction I would like to take my future novels in. To me, at this point, I would try and traditionally publish, but to be honest, it almost, for me, is more just like a benchmark to say that, oh, an agent liked my book. It's a third party, right? Who had nothing, doesn't know me, doesn't know anything about my book, was not part of the writing process. They think my book is good enough to take on and represent. And then if a publishing house also accepts my book, they want to publish it, that to me is it's just like validation almost. That like, wow, somebody who does this as a job thinks that my writing is good enough. Because obviously in self-publishing, anybody can publish, with the slew of AI slop that has entered the marketplace. It's gotten even more, let's say, I wouldn't call it unhinged. Now it's unhinged with AI entering, but there isn't really, let's say, there wasn't any gatekeeping before, not so much quality control. So that's the only, let's say, downside perhaps with self-publishing. I mean, you can assume that at least if a book is traditionally published, it has gone through some sort of quality control. It's going to be a higher quality product than what you might necessarily find in the self-published marketplace. But there are plenty of people who are self-publishing and they take their product, their book, extremely seriously and have it at a level of a traditionally published book, maybe even better. And that's what I would do if I got to that level. Like, I'm not interested in just publishing the first draft of my book and just being able to say, oh, I published a book or books. I am interested in creating the highest quality product that I'm capable of, which means multiple rounds of edits if necessary, getting professional advice and help, getting professionals to make my cover design or any promotional materials. Like, part of my reputation is that I'd like to be known for creating quality writing and quality products and like everything that's kind of associated with me as an author is hopefully people will hold it in a high regard, because I think that striving for excellence is a good thing. And not excellence just in writing, in anything you do. Striving for just being the best that you can and putting not 100% of your effort, like 1,000% of your effort. Because what's the point of just doing something when you're gonna only half-ass it? So you get older, especially, like, you really start to value quality over quantity, and it makes a huge difference in your own life and how you perceive and interact with your life. I want, when people think about me as an author, like, hopefully the first thought in their mind is that I'm a good writer. Excellent, brilliant, fantastic, masterpieces. At the very least, like, even if not everybody likes my stories or if they don't like my writing style, at least then people can still say, like, the quality is there. Just like in fashion, I don't like every single fashion house that exists. I'm not a fan of every single fashion design, but I can always appreciate the effort and the time and the skill involved in producing a clothing collection, even though I myself perhaps would never wear something like that. When you kind of know the process about it and you strive for making something that is almost in a way perhaps beyond your own limits or beyond the limits of what most people can do, that is inherently valuable, if you ask me. So those are just a few of my thoughts on publishing right now and where I'd like to take things in the future with my writing. I, at this point, have no idea what direction I'm headed in exactly. I think I still have a lot of work ahead of me in terms of getting Project TOD ready. I also have to consider something like, do I want to finish the entire series first before I publish the first book, or do I want to publish TOD and then just publish the next book in the trilogy whenever it comes out, which could be 10 years from now, even though I hope it's not going to take that long. But so I've got a lot of factors to consider in how I'd like to go forward. Whatever I decide to do, I think it's going to be an interesting and exciting journey either way. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of more rambly session just about my thoughts on publishing, and let me know in the comments, would you rather traditionally publish or self-publish, or are you just gonna do whatever works in the moment? Because I know there's a lot of differing opinions out there, so I'm curious to know what you guys think. Thanks for watching today's episode of The Writer Diaries. If you like this video, you already know what to do, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!